Greetings YouTube, Skill Incarnate bringing you all the latest indie gaming goodness. Today we're reviewing the game Super Stone Legacy by Garden Shed Studios. Super Stone Legacy is a RPG game with roguelike elements including permadeath, and it mixes these elements together very well. It's wrapped up with a slick design with a lot of clever little tricks and of course tight controls, along with massive replay value. All in all, I love this game, but stick around and I'll tell you a little bit more about why. As with all of the indie game reviews I do, let's first check out the settings in the game, including the controls. Now this is an implementation that is very well done, and I hate having to mention this in every single review, but I love it when a developer gets this right. You can change everything from the audio volume of the music and the game sound to even full screen, and of course the screen resolution. We can actually change the screen resolution in game without having to do it through Unity itself. Very well done. You can even change things like your crosshair design and of course the size of your crosshair. Very well done. A lot of these things are little gripes that I've had with other games. The options menu here is done masterfully. My only gripe is the controls. We can't change the controls, but they are very well designed, very intuitive. I found the controls very easy to get used to. You also have the option of using a controller if you find the mouse and keyboard to be a bit clunky. I found I did better with the controller over mouse and keyboard. Now I said that this game was roguelike, so before we get into the game, I should mention that the game does actually keep your stats. Each run that you do, if it ends in death, you don't finish the game, your stats, whether you're successful or whether you fail, are actually kept here. And I love this option to reset the data here. I've used this more than once. Some of my earlier embarrassing attempts I did wipe, because I really, seeing those stats in front of you, it can be a little bit depressing, but it's fantastic to actually see your improvement in each round. This game has 12 stages, and I guarantee you will get nowhere near the end on your first attempt. Let's get into the game itself, and I'll explain a little bit more about why I absolutely love this title. And here we are at the player select screen, and you can have up to 3 players in the game if you've got enough controllers. Just be mindful of the fact that you will have to share the experience around. But this game really does shine when played with multiple players. Now I'm going to use a keyboard and mouse for the purpose of this game, but of course you can use a controller if you feel so inclined. And on this screen you get to pick the character you start with. Now don't be fooled, you get access to this entire party, and you can swap out between your party members at any time. In fact, that's a core mechanic of surviving in this game. You can change between them by using the 1 to 6 keys or the nominated key on your controller. I'm going to start with the Knight, and the Knight is your slow moving, high damage character. Each of these characters have their own use, and they are all very useful against certain enemies and certain situations. You will find that you will rely on certain characters a little bit more than others. I know I favour the Archer. Now, you move around using the W, A, S and D keys, and you guide your aim using the mouse. Each of the characters has a special attack, which can be used with a space key when you fill up their super meter. And each of their attacks is used with the left mouse button to just take a swing. Now, each of the attacks is chargeable as well, as you can see there. By holding down the attack key, you can charge your attack and do a little bit more damage. And in fact, it is very well recommended to do that wherever you can. As you can see, I managed to get a couple of free hits against that guy. He's a wizard. Now this is an instance of moving away would be a better solution, but I've been hit as well. Now I'm spamming hits from outside of his attack range. The Archer is a low damage but rapid fire character, and as you can see, each of the characters has their own use in specific situations. I'm just roughly guessing where he might be. Now I managed to defeat him and we're just picking up the gold. Now, don't be fooled, the simplistic graphics of this game it is a little bit misleading. This is actually a really fun and very addictive game. Now, after each of the boss battles, you will get one of these evil orbs, which must be destroyed. And again, we're taking advantage of the game's RPG mechanics to give different characters an ability to fight. You want to try and get each of your characters a bit of experience in fighting, swapping between them regularly, because each of them has their own experience bar and their own meter for health and so forth, and you want to try and have a well-rounded party. Now, in our case, at the end of each level, we will get a certain amount of gold. We got 600 gold from that first level, which isn't too bad, but unfortunately, because our characters were injured, we need to buy some food for them to heal them. Now, a lot of people have different approaches to this game. My approach is to try and level up a couple of my characters' HP. And that's to allow them to take a little bit more than one hit to go down. Each of these abilities is very useful, but I find being a roguelike game with the characters having a bit more survivability, HP is the first one to go to. Now I've gotten a little bit further into the game to show you one of the later levels in the game. And here we are in the desert biome, and as you can see there's very different levels with each of the enemies being very varied, having their own special attacks. As you can see we've got some mummy characters, and a really good approach is working out if an enemy can be attacked with a ranged character rather than a close range character. I'm swapping out here to see if I can get some experience for my knight, and then my cleric. And this is a really good strategy to try and use striking from behind barricades to get a couple of cheap hits in. It does work really well with certain characters. And as you can see, depending on the level, there'll be different barriers. There can be different hazards in the level as well. But you want to try and obviously take as little damage as you can, and get as many kills as you can to try and get some much needed experience. I love that the bosses in the game are so different, so varied. Some of them are very, very challenging, while others can be a little bit of a pushover. And it really just depends on your experience. It depends on when you meet the bosses in the game. Some of them turn up very early, and some of them turn up later in the game. And it really depends on where you meet the boss as to the challenge level. As you can see here, this boss we've nearly killed him. We've only taken one hit, so we're in pretty good shape to be able to beat this guy. Used my special attack there. Unfortunately, I did take quite a few hits there. And this is one of the few bugs in the game. The boss actually, if he dies off screen, you won't get any of the gold. We managed to get a little bit. And it's very hard for me to explain this. There's not really much more to it than this. But it's just so well done. There's such a challenge of the game that you want to keep playing, and you want to keep trying to see how much of the game you can finish before you wipe. So what do I like about this game? Well, it's really almost everything. There's a lot to love about this game. The controls are very slick. The presentation is very well done. The enemies are tough, but all have patterns that can be learnt. So there is a lot of replay value in the game, trying to get a bit further and trying to finish the game. Now, the other thing is the originality. There is a lot of games on Steam, but there's not a lot of games which are done well, especially retro games. And this is done very, very well. The one more go style of gameplay is very effective, and I actually found that the review was a little bit late because I wanted to keep trying the game. In fact, I didn't want to actually put the review out until I'd had a chance to defeat the final boss. But unfortunately, due to the difficulty of the game, I realised that it may be another 5 or 10 hours before I could actually finish the game. So I had to pull the pin at some point. But that is a sign of a good game. That is a sign of a game that is well put together, a game with a good amount of challenge and really solid mechanics. And really that's the best praise I can give this game. It's a game which caused me to delay my review so I could keep playing the game. Now, are there problems with this game? Yes, there are some bugs. I was able to find a bug with one of the menus in the game, and that was early after getting the game, but to the developers' credit, they actually contacted me after me reporting the bug and fixed the problem. And after fixing the problem, they asked me to have another look. And that, for me, is the sign of a dedicated developer. It's very hard to find developers that are that passionate about their work, and I have to commend them for going the extra mile and trying to fix the problem for the public, for their customers, instead of taking the criticism harshly, which is something that a lot of other developers do. Now, the other bug I found was sometimes that levels wouldn't finish, you wouldn't get the orb at the end of the level, but all the other bugs apart from the one that I just mentioned were very rare and didn't occur very often at all. So it's a very solid game overall with very few bugs, and I would recommend this for anyone that has played a retro game or owned a retro console like a Super Nintendo. Definitely worth the play, definitely worth picking up. It is currently $9.99 on Steam, so for $10 I absolutely recommend this game for anyone. Try this game out, see if you can finish it, and let me know what you think in the comments. Leave me a subscription if you feel that you enjoyed this review, and let me know if you actually finished the game. That was it for me for now. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you will try this game, and we'll see you for the next episode. Until next time, Skill Incarnate out.